Have you ever looked at someone you love, maybe a parent, a spouse, or even yourself in the mirror, and felt something had shifted? Not in a loud, dramatic way, but in the quiet moments, in the way they move a little slower, speak a little less, or seem to drift off into thought more often than before. Sometimes it's just aging. Other times, it's the body gently preparing for goodbye. Now, before you feel worried or overwhelmed, let me say this clearly. Noticing these signs doesn't mean panic. It means being present, being aware, being ready to offer love and comfort in the most meaningful ways. Because the final year of someone's life isn't always marked by hospital visits and obvious illness. Often, the body and spirit speak in whispers, not shouts. Today, I want to talk with you like a friend, not as a doctor or a counselor, but as someone who knows how important it is to catch these small signals early. We're going to talk about 5 subtle signs that may indicate an elderly person is in their final year of life. These signs are easy to overlook, often mistaken for normal aging, but they matter, because recognizing them can help you give better care, deeper understanding, and more peace to them and to yourself. So let's begin with something many of us ignore: a quiet change in appetite. Maybe you've noticed your mother, who used to love her evening tea with a biscuit, now just pushes it aside. Or your father, once the first to ask for seconds, now barely touches his plate. It can seem innocent. "I'm just not hungry today," they say, or "I'll eat later," though later never really comes. But behind that loss of appetite, there could be something more profound happening. As the body begins to slow down, so does its need for fuel. Organs aren't functioning as efficiently. The digestive system, which once worked like clockwork, becomes sluggish. Eating becomes more of a task than a pleasure. Even the sense of taste can change, making food less appealing. What once smelled delicious might now seem bland or even unpleasant. You might notice their clothes fitting more loosely, their faces appearing thinner. And though we might chalk it up to getting older or being picky, this gradual weight loss and reduced intake can be one of the earliest signs that the body is preparing to wind down. Not dramatically, but gently, like a candle dimming, not blowing out. Now, I know how tempting it is to insist, "Come on, you have to eat something." But here's a little insight that might help you approach it differently. Instead of forcing full meals, offer small portions of their favorite soft foods. A spoon of mashed potatoes, a little fruit puree, even a few sips of warm soup. Not for nutrition, but for comfort. Because at this stage, food becomes less about sustenance and more about experience, taste, memory, familiarity. It's not about fighting nature, but about walking beside it. Now let's talk about sleep. Not the kind that refreshes you after a busy day, but the kind that seems to take over everything. If your loved one is spending more and more time in bed, nodding off during conversations, or simply seems to lack the energy to stay awake for long, it might not just be fatigue. Many people in their final year of life begin sleeping more than usual. The body, tired from years of service, demands more rest. You might find them dozing in the middle of the day, falling asleep while sitting upright, or needing help getting out of bed simply because it feels too exhausting. And while this can be worrying, it's also deeply natural. Just like a tree slowing down before winter, the human body enters a phase of deep conservation. Energy is no longer focused on action, but on simply being. Every nap, every moment of stillness is the body's way of saying, "I need rest. I'm preparing." Of course, there will be good days and slow days, moments of alertness and moments of deep sleep. That's okay. Try not to wake them unless it's necessary. Let rest come when it does, and when they're awake, make those moments count. Sit with them, hold their hand, share stories. Those little moments become treasures, far more than any meal or medication ever could. What's important to remember through all of this is that these signs don't always appear in dramatic ways. Sometimes it's just an extra hour of sleep, a missed meal, a quiet sigh instead of conversation. But when they begin to stack up, when they become more frequent, it's time to start listening more closely. It's hard to think about these things. I know. Nobody wants to imagine that someone they love or even themselves might be in their final chapter, but there's a quiet beauty in accepting what we can't control. It gives us a chance to focus on what we can control, how we love, how we comfort, how we make each day as peaceful and meaningful as possible. The good news is that awareness doesn't bring fear, it brings connection. When you start to see the signs not as problems, but as invitations to care more deeply, everything shifts. You stop trying to fix what's natural and start showing up with more grace, more patience, more kindness. And isn't that what we all want in our final year? To be seen not as a list of symptoms but as a whole person, with memories, laughter, love, and worth? If you're seeing these signs in someone you care about, or even in yourself, take a deep breath. This isn't the end. It's a moment to pause, to reflect, and to lean into the love you've built over a lifetime. Now let's keep going and talk about something that might be harder to see from the outside, but just as important. There's a quiet shift that often goes unnoticed, not in the body, but in the way a person connects with the world. You might find that someone who once loved chatting on the phone, joining gatherings, or even just watching their favorite shows, begins to withdraw. Conversations grow shorter, phone calls go unanswered, and even when they're in the room with you, their eyes seem to be somewhere far away. This emotional and social withdrawal can be subtle at first, like clouds slowly drifting in, but over time, it becomes more apparent. It's not that they don't love their family or enjoy company, they do. But the energy it takes to stay engaged with the outside world becomes too much. The body is slowing down, yes, but so is the desire to keep up with everything beyond. You might hear phrases like, "I just want to rest," or "You all go ahead without me." Or they might sit in silence during a visit, content just to be near you but without the need to speak. That silence, though heavy at times, isn't always sadness. Often it's simply a natural turning inward, a preparing, a gentle loosening of the strings that once held them tightly to routines, social roles, and worldly concerns. If this sounds familiar, don't take it personally, and don't rush to pull them back into busyness. Instead, meet them where they are, sit quietly with them, bring calm presence instead of conversation. Hold their hand. Let them know they're not alone, even if they don't have the words. Or the will to speak. There's something deeply sacred in simply being with someone. You don't always need to fill the silence. Sometimes silence says everything that needs to be said. Now let's talk about a sign that is often dismissed or misunderstood. Changes in mood and personality. Maybe the person you love was always cheerful, talkative, and full of opinions, and now they seem distant, confused, or unusually quiet. Or maybe they become irritated over things that never used to bother them. Some even become emotional, crying more often or showing fear in situations that once felt routine. This emotional change isn't about being dramatic or getting old and cranky. It's much deeper than that. As the body prepares for its final season, the brain can also undergo changes. Sometimes it's connected to reduced oxygen levels, slow organ function, or medication side effects. But often, it's simply the mind adjusting, processing decades of memory, joy, sorrow, and reflection. You may notice forgetfulness, moments of disorientation, or sudden shifts in emotion that catch you off guard. It can be hard to watch. You might feel helpless, but here's what helps the most. Don't argue, correct, or challenge them, just be present. If they forget something, gently remind them. If they're upset, comfort them, even if you don't fully understand the cause. These moments aren't about logic, they're about emotion. It's their way of expressing something they might not even fully grasp. Maybe it's fear of leaving loved ones, maybe it's sadness over a life well lived but nearing its close, or maybe it's just their heart's way of saying, "I still feel things deeply, even if I can't explain them." The most healing thing you can do is to listen with your heart, not your ears. Offer hugs, warmth, and calm reassurance. Let them know they're still loved, still valued, even if they don't always feel like themselves. And perhaps the most mysterious yet telling sign is something few talk about openly, what some call spiritual readiness. You might notice that your loved one begins to talk more about the past, about people who've passed away, or about places they want to visit one more time. Some even speak of seeing things others don't, like a deceased loved one or a feeling that someone was in the room. While this may sound strange or concerning, it's actually more common than you might think. These aren't hallucinations in the traditional sense. They're often deeply peaceful experiences. A mother may say she saw her husband standing near the door. A grandfather may smile quietly, saying he dreamt of a garden that felt more real than anything he's seen. These moments may carry a sense of calm, of peace, of someone slowly making peace with the idea of leaving. In many cultures and traditions, this is seen as a sacred time, a thin space between here and what comes next. If this happens, don't try to correct them. Don't say that's not real. Instead, lean in with curiosity. Ask, what did it feel like? Or, do you feel peaceful? Let them share without fear of being dismissed. This spiritual awareness is not something we can always explain, but we can honor it. Sometimes it's their way of saying goodbye, not out loud but soul to soul, and that's something truly beautiful. These signs, withdrawal from the world, shifts in mood, spiritual openness, may feel like small ripples, but together they tell a quiet story. A story of a life winding down, not with noise or panic, but with grace, reflection, and the hope of peace. As someone who loves and cares, your role isn't to stop these changes. It's to walk beside them, to make space for dignity, to hold their hand not because they're weak, but because you want them to feel seen. Because the truth is, what matters most at this time isn't how strong their body is, but how loved they feel. No one wants to say goodbye. But when we accept that every chapter has an ending, we learn to love with more depth, more presence, more tenderness. And isn't that the kind of legacy we all hope to leave behind? Sometimes the body speaks in whispers, long before it raises its voice. You might notice your loved one begins to sleep more than usual, not just catnaps during the day, but deep, extended periods of sleep, almost as if the body is gently retreating from the demands of daily life. Mornings blend into afternoons. Conversations taper off mid-thought. You find them in their favorite chair, eyes closed, breathing soft and steady. This growing fatigue isn't laziness or boredom. It's a sign that the body is conserving its remaining energy for the most essential functions. Digestion slows, muscles weaken, and every movement, every breath becomes more effort than it used to be. You might see their appetite fading, their interest in food waning. A once-loved meal sits untouched. Even a favorite dessert might only get a polite bite. There's a natural rhythm to it, a slowing down that the body seems to choose, not resist. It's a process of gentle surrender, and it's important to honor that. Rather than pushing them to eat more, stay awake longer, or keep up with a routine they no longer need, try simply offering small comforts. A sip of cool water, a favorite soft blanket, their favorite music playing softly in the background. Let their body lead the way. Trust it knows what it's doing. This stage is not about fighting to hold on, it's about making peace with letting go. You might also begin to notice physical changes that can feel more alarming. The hands and feet may grow colder. Skin may appear pale or bluish, especially at the extremities. Breathing patterns shift. Sometimes it's shallow and fast. Other times, there are long pauses between breaths, what doctors call Cheney-Stokes breathing. These moments can be deeply emotional, especially if you don't know what to expect, but they're part of the body's natural process of preparing to shut down, gently and in its own time. These signs aren't painful. In fact, for many, there's a sense of peace that surrounds them, like the body is doing what it was designed to do: release, rest, and return. This can also be the time when you begin to feel a quiet awareness settle over the room, a kind of stillness that says, this moment matters, and it does. During this stage, don't worry about saying the perfect words. What matters most is your presence. Hold their hand, sit beside them, say, I love you, even if you're not sure they can hear you. Often hearing is the last sense to fade. Your voice may be the last familiar sound they hold on to. There's power in the simple things, a gentle touch, a familiar scent, a soft prayer or song. These aren't just comforts for the dying, they're comforts for the living too. Because this isn't just their journey, it's yours as well. And if you find yourself overwhelmed, unsure, or afraid, that's okay. This is sacred territory, and there's no script, no perfect way to navigate it. But love, your love, is enough. It helps to remember that this isn't just the end of a life. It's the closing of a story filled with memories, lessons, laughter, and love. Whether they were a quiet soul or the heart of the home, every elderly person nearing the end carries with them a lifetime of meaning. And part of our role is to witness that, to hold space for it, and to say, not with words, but with presence, you mattered. Even as their body weakens, their spirit often shines brighter. You may catch a sudden smile, a squeeze of the hand, or a final, whispered, thank you. These moments may come unexpectedly, but they leave a lasting imprint. They are the soul's way of saying goodbye, not with fear, but with grace. And here's something else I want you to know. No matter how strong or composed you try to be, it's okay to cry. It's okay to grieve, even while they're still here. In fact, that grief is just love with nowhere else to go. Let it out. Let it move through you. Because you are not alone in this. Many have walked this path. And like you, they've done it with a full heart, even when that heart feels heavy. If you're caring for someone in their final year, remember that you don't need to do everything. You just need to do the things that matter most. Being kind, being gentle, being present, and forgiving yourself on the days when it feels too hard. None of us get everything right. But love has a way of covering the gaps. So as you sit with your loved one, as you notice these quiet signs and changes, take comfort in knowing that what you're doing, the care you're giving, is enough. More than enough. This isn't the end of your connection with them. It's simply a transformation, a passage from one chapter to the next, and though it may be painful to watch them go, know that you were their safe place until the very end. And that is one of the most beautiful gifts any of us can give. Friends, when we talk about the final year of life, it's not about giving up. It's about understanding. And one of the clearest yet most overlooked signs that a person is nearing their final chapter isn't physical at all. It's emotional. You may notice that the person begins to withdraw, not just from social gatherings or daily routines, but from the world itself. It often starts subtly. A once talkative parent becomes quieter. A grandparent who loved visits now prefers sitting silently. A gentle hand wave replaces long conversations. It's as if their heart is slowly folding inward, detaching not out of sadness but in preparation. This emotional withdrawal is a signal, not of depression necessarily, though it can resemble it. It's more of a soul-level shift, a process of gently turning inward, focusing less on the external world and more on what lies ahead. And yet, even during this withdrawal, something powerful happens: reflection. They may start to talk about people who've passed long ago. Names from decades back surface in stories, sometimes in dreams. You might hear them whisper to a loved one who's no longer here. Or they may say they've seen someone waiting for them. These moments aren't confusion. In fact, many believe they're a form of spiritual preparation, what some call life review, when memories rise to the surface, almost like pages being turned in a well-loved book. If they speak of regrets or unfinished business, listen with compassion. Sometimes just hearing their thoughts out loud brings peace. If they share gratitude or speak with a sense of completion, honor that, too. These words are gifts. They're part of the farewell, even if no one says the word goodbye. What they need most in this time is not answers, but presence. A calm room, a hand to hold. Someone who simply says, I'm here. And for you, the one standing by, it's okay if you feel unsure of what to do or say. Sometimes silence is enough. Sometimes a story from the past, a soft laugh, or a familiar song is more healing than any advice. Don't be afraid to speak from your heart. Say what matters. Say thank you. I'm proud of you. I'll be okay. These words carry weight in the final days. They're not just for them. They're for you too. This final season is also a time of transition for you. As a caregiver, a son or daughter, a spouse, a friend, you are also crossing a threshold. You are witnessing the sacred, something few. Get to see up close the graceful conclusion of a life. There will be hard days. There will be moments when your heart aches with helplessness. But remember this, what you're doing is brave. Sitting beside someone at the end of life takes more courage than most people will ever understand. And no matter how tired you feel, no matter how uncertain, please know, you are enough. You're giving love in its purest form, not for what you'll receive in return, but simply because it's what love does. It stays, it comforts, it carries. In these final days, you may see moments of clarity return, even briefly, a smile, a look that tells you they know you're there. Sometimes they wait for a special moment, a visit from a distant loved one, a birthday, a quiet sunrise. And once that moment passes, they let go. That letting go is often quiet, gentle, peaceful. For many, it comes in sleep. For others, it's during a moment of stillness, when everything in the room feels like it pauses. And then they are gone. But even then, the story doesn't end. You will carry their love with you in how you speak, how you live, how you care for others. You'll hear their voice in your heart when you least expect it. Their wisdom, their laughter, their favorite phrases. They'll linger like a melody long after the song ends. And when grief comes, as it surely will, let it come. Don't rush it, don't hide it. Let it wash over you like waves. Because that grief is a sign of love. Deep, enduring love. You may find healing in quiet moments, in conversations with others who understand, or in returning to the places and habits that once brought you comfort. You may find healing in honoring their memory, planting a tree, lighting a candle, or simply saying their name. And slowly the pain softens, the memories grow warmer, and you begin to live again, not the same life, but a life touched by theirs, shaped by all that they were to you. So if you're walking this path now, know that you are not alone. So many of us are with you, holding space for your heart, honoring your love, and reminding you that even in goodbye there is grace. Take a deep breath. You're doing beautifully. And if this video helped you feel seen, understood, or comforted, I invite you to share your experience in the comments. Sometimes just writing it down helps. Your story might be the very thing that eases someone else's heart. If you found this video meaningful, please give it a like and consider subscribing. We're building a community where no one has to walk this path alone. There's strength in sharing, and there's peace in knowing we're in this together. Until next time, take care of yourself. Be gentle with your heart. And remember, you are deeply loved, always. Here's to honoring the past, embracing the present, and facing the future with grace.